All right, welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano.
I'm Mary Bridget Fasciano, Peter's sister.
I was going to say, my sister, in case some of you don't know, backed by popular demand, where I'm listening to the people in the comments and they want more of my sister and less of me. So
that's not true. Nobody wants less of you, but it is nice that you guys are enjoying my visits. So
today is my Monday series, and this is going to be my final single barrel bourbon video before I jump over to my peated scotches, which you will probably not be taking a part of. So
no,
she's going to be relegated to the Friday videos and the Wednesdays Sip It or Skip It. So today we're going to be taking a look at Henry McKenna. This is a bottled and bond 10-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon. It is 50% ABV, which actually all bottled and bond bourbons need to be. Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, which I already said. It's distilled in the...
You looked at me like I knew.
I know, the Heaven Hill Distillery. Just had a brain fart there. Heaven Hill Distillery. And we're going to get into a little bit of the history behind this a little bit. I paid $69.99 in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a 750 milliliter bottle. And the specifics on mine, this was barreled 11/11. So there you go. Barrel number 11906. What are we going to do with it?
We're going to drink it. We're going to pour it, nose it, taste it, and tell you what we think. Is that the right segment?
And then we're going to give it a score at the very end.
We're going to give it a score.
If you decide to stick around. I'm surprised on how quickly I can smell the bourbon as soon as this is poured.
Oh, I got it now.
It's immediate, and it's apparent that there's a ton of vanilla. A bunch of vanilla. At least that's what I'm getting on my nose.
That smells good.
Yeah. So I believe these are typical bourbon notes. Brown sugar, vanilla. I don't necessarily know if there's honey. I'm a big fan of honey, but I don't really necessarily.
I'm getting a little bit of honey. No maple, but honey.
Yeah, like maple syrup. No, but honey,
no,
yes.
Because typically with some of them, I get maple syrup, but I'm not getting that on this. I like it when I get maple syrup on the nose, but I do get honey, I think.
Yeah. And it's sweet. It comes across to me, it comes across very sweet. Spice, cinnamon, pepper. There is maybe the spice at the beginning is maybe the barrel spice or the barrel char. But I wouldn't say that this is overly spicy. I don't think there's dominant pepper notes or cinnamon. Ooh, I just got a cherry note. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing on the palate.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for showing up for this one.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Tell you what, Henry McKenna has made multiple. Oh, we're supposed to drink after we cheers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right, but you're supposed. So, my husband used to travel to Europe for another company that he worked for, and so when he was over there was Brussels. They said when you cheers, you're supposed to look somebody in the eye, and I may have mentioned this on one of your other segments. Yeah, because
we did this before.
Yeah, and so I noticed that when we cheers, we don't really.
Yeah, but we're not in Brussels.
No, but I think it's just a common courtesy that you're no matter where you are.
And are you supposed to maintain eye contact while you're taking a sip?
No, because then you'll spill it down your face.
Okay, well, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
You didn't look at me.
Dang it. Here.
See how it's like that? Yeah. It's not.
Cheers, everyone.
An automatic. Cheers. That's soft.
It is. It's soft. It's oaky. It's pleasant on the palate. I think it saturates when it hits the tongue. It just rolls back and envelops every part of your mouth. It sinks down. My mouth is watering like crazy.
There's a taste on the front, different on the front of my tongue to the back of my tongue, but I can't pinpoint what that flavor is.
Is it a bitterness?
No, it's not a bitterness. It's and this could just be because I just brought over a chocolate espresso cake with chocolate espresso buttercream frosting that I made last night, and we just ate it before we tasted this. But I don't know if it's the influence of that, but there's a silkiness, almost a buttery taste on the front of my tongue, and I don't know if it's because of the cake or if it's this. Are you getting that?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
But I do have to say, like I mentioned before, Henry McKenna has made appearances on this channel before, and every time I've had it, I've liked it more and more and more. And each time I've had it, I've picked up a little bit different notes each time. And this time, that's a little bit different than the others. I'm getting a tremendous amount of oak coming out of this. I've had the cherry note before, but the dominant note that I'm getting on the palate is oak, followed by the cherry, and then the typical stuff, the vanilla, the brown sugar, the caramel. I still don't think I get the honey, but maybe on that second sip. Do we have to cheers at the second sip? Or do we
No,
just...
but I was waiting this time
Okay.
patiently for the second sip until you said,
All right, let's go.
Let's get
get
the
that
second
second sip
sip.
then. Let's go. Spicier, oakier.
oh, I do get the oak now on that second sip.
And is it oak or barrel char? I
don't know the difference, so I don't know.
I know. I go, not that I know that you don't know the difference. That sounded a little patronizing. As I go through my whiskey journey, as I start picking up different notes, at the very beginning, I had a hard time distinguishing the difference between like a vanilla and a brown sugar note. And then the barrel tannin and the barrel char, I'm starting to get confused on what it is that I'm actually getting. Am I getting the oak, and is that oak note the actual barrel char? Or is it the tannins that are coming or leaching out of, or the vanillins, they think they call it? Is it that leaching out of the wood? And that's what's causing that bitterness on the side of my tongue, which is good, just as long as it's not over the top. I like it.
I don't get any bitterness. And I would think from the difference between, at least in my opinion, and I could be completely wrong, between what you're saying is oak versus barrel char. Char, to me, just the word would sound like that you're tasting something that's almost burnt, like a smoky, burnt flavor versus just the flavor of oak, like when you drink a wine, like when it's an oaky wine where it has that wood influence. I don't get any char, like in my mind, what I think a char flavor would be from this. Yeah. Like, you know how when you eat a steak, you char the steak, you can taste the char on the steak and it along with the steak. I don't get that char flavor. Do you?
Yeah, maybe I do.
Do you?
And maybe that's what I'm confused about, whether it's the oak or it's the char. But maybe the char is part of the oak. Maybe everything goes together. The barrel char plus the oak influence. Whatever the case may be, the more that I sip on this, the spicier it's getting.
Absolutely.
Which surprises me because I didn't mention the mash bill. So the mash bill for this one is 78% corn, 12% malted barley, and 10% rye. And being 10% rye, I would think that the sweetness of the barley and the sweetness of the corn would be overpowering the spice of the rye. But this is, I think, on that third sip is more spice than sweet.
Okay. Well, but corn is sweet.
Right, corn and malt, and malted barley. Malted barley
both,
has a sweetness to it as well.
Both sweet.
Yeah.
So why?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm surprised that this is coming across as spicy as it is.
Sweet.
Because in the past it's been sweet.
Okay, so you need to write your notes out a little bit better.
Well, the notes
I'm
are
going to continue doing this.
But the notes are for me, not for you. Like I said, when you were looking, I'm like, good luck reading that. So while we're getting into this, we're going to add a little bit of water to this as my sister adds a drop or two in here. Okay. Henry McKenna, the name sounds very Irish, and it is. So Henry McKenna was a Irish immigrant that took his family's whiskey recipe, I'm guessing from Ireland, and adapted it to Kentucky grains and ended up producing Henry McKenna. This was back in 1855 when he was an immigrant and when he settled into Kentucky. Just like always, the Depression and World War II hit the distilleries pretty hard, and Henry McKenna's sons, James and Stafford. So James and Stafford were his sons. James ended up dying in 1941, and then Stafford ended up selling the distillery to Seagram's. And then Seagram's, I guess, went bankrupt and eventually sold to Heaven Hill. But anyway, Henry McKenna, Irish immigrant, got into bourbon, which I think a lot of Irish immigrants did. They came over with their pot stills, with their copper pot stills, and just carried on the tradition. So,
I don't think that it changed much.
Well, I haven't had it yet. I'm still
No.
smelling
I'm
it.
talking about the smell.
Yeah, I get a lot of cherry still. It's still coming across to me is pretty sweet.
It's pretty sweet. There's a little bit more spice, but not a whole lot.
Right. There is spice. And
I have lost that honey scent, though,
Okay.
that I thought that I smelled.
And remember, water-soluble particles, non-water soluble
Particles.
particles separate.
Da, 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 da.
Blah, blah.
Always have to be a science teacher.
Always.
Okay.
All right, so on the nose, it doesn't seem like it changed
Now,
much.
let's see if it changed.
All right. It immediately
Oh.
softened it even more.
Really?
I think so.
Oh, no.
No.
that-
Okay, hold on.
Oh, no. That brought out the ABV.
Pepper. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of spice forward now. When I
Yeah.
said it softened it, the mouth feel, and I don't know if that's a term that people like or not like. When I first had this to begin with, there was a little bit of viscosity that it coated everything, and then when I took the sip of it after the water, it softened it, which it kind of watered it down, so it doesn't have that sticking power. But like you were saying, it elevated the spice even more.
And it burned, like the first time when I said, did I say it was soft? Is that what I said when I took the first sip?
Soft, easy sipping.
Something
like that.
Like the ABV did not, what is the ABV on this again?
50% ABV.
Oh, so that's not high, right?
Well, I mean, I guess that would be a relative term depending upon your tolerance.
Yeah, it did not hit me at all. But that sip, like, burned. Like I could just, like fireworks going off on my tongue from the ABV.
I can see that because it definitely hit my palate as pretty hot.
And I'm not getting
pretty
that
peppery.
buttery, that
Yep.
coating. So that's what you referred to as the viscosity.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what I was.
Yeah. The sweetness is gone.
Yeah.
I'm not getting brown sugar. I'm not getting caramel. I'm not getting the vanilla. The cherry note's gone. My suggestion would not be adding water to this. That's my preference. Again, it's your whiskey. You can do whatever you want with it, but going forward, I don't think I would add water to this.
Yeah, I liked the original two sips better.
Yeah, I did too. I like this without the water. So, if you're new to this channel, I rate my whiskeys out of 5 stars.
Wait, talk about this because I find this
Oh,
interesting.
that's right. So, Henry McKenna ended up being, I think, one of the first bourbons to actually ever win the Best in Show at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. I can't remember what the other one was, but I think it may have been like Hardin's Creek or something like that. But going into this was a sub $35 bourbon. And since it won the Best of Show, the prices skyrocketed. They ended up becoming very highly allocated. It was very difficult to find. And I think at the height, maybe this was like a $75 bottle. And since then, I think the price has come down just a little bit. Like I said, I think I paid like $69 for this.
So
$70. So basically
you said
$70.
75 today.
Yeah.
So how long ago did you buy this? What do you think?
Well, this is probably about a year and a half ago. This was an earlier bottle that I purchased. So, and they just sit on the shelves now. I mean, they used to be allocated. They would put 2 or 3 bottles out at a time. But now you walk into Total Wine & More, which I do the majority of my shopping there. They're just sitting on the shelves.
So people
just
aren't
sitting there.
buying them.
They're not buying that. I think whiskey's getting to the point now where it's getting to a certain price and people are like, no.
Well, I
no
mean, if
thanks.
you look at from 2019 where it was $35 to today it's $75. I mean, that's almost, again, I'm not a math person. We figured that out in the very beginning. But that's almost $10 a year
Yeah.
going up in price. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I think that's also turning a lot of people off in the whiskey world. Whiskey went through this huge boom, and I think people are starting to realize that it's out of control. And a lot of the bottles that are usually typically purchased rather quickly are now just sitting on the shelf.
Yep.
So, all right. So if you are new here, my rating system's out of 5 stars.
Okay.
I am basing my rating systems on the single barrels that I've done in the series, just based on what I'm getting in the glass. And if you are not new here, you know I don't like spice. I don't like high amounts of spice in the whiskey. My initial drink, first 2 sips, with the cherry, the vanilla, the caramel, all of that was really, really good. The second sip, that spice started to get a little bit too much. That barrel tan and the barrel char may, after a while, started to build and become a little bit off-putting. And then obviously with the water, that's a no-go for me. So out of 5 stars, I am going to rate this without water. So without water, but I also need to put the price as a factor as well. I'm going to put this at a solid 3.
Okay.
A 3. I know a lot of people love this bottle, and it was on a trajectory for me to be a little bit better, but every review is a little bit different. Your palate is a little bit different each time you taste it. And for me today, based on what's in my glass and how my palate is, not the biggest fan. So it's a 3.
For me, are you comparing it to other bourbons that I've had, it's not as sweet as I like. So I'm gonna give it a 2. I'm hardcore.
Wow.
Okay, 2.5.
So leave your comments down below and address them to her.
Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just felt I needed to throw out a number since I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. I think with that, I think we should just leave it there. And wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it. And I'm definitely enjoying it now that my sister's here. And we're going to keep this rolling. Hopefully, we're going to shoot a couple of sip it or skip it videos. And hopefully, she will not get any of the peated scotches that I have in my collection show up on the wheel. So that's all we got. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.